Some bonds defy simple explanation. They live somewhere between friendship and devotion, between admiration and something far deeper. The relationship between Michael Jackson and Diana Ross was exactly that, layered, emotional, and impossible to fully define. For decades, the world caught only glimpses of what they shared. Now, finally, the full picture is coming into view. Michael Jackson never hid how he felt about Diana Ross. In interviews, in private spaces, and through his music, he made his devotion unmistakably clear. In one quiet but powerful statement, he described her as everything you could wish for. But it wasn't just words. Inside his home, he built something extraordinary, a private room dedicated entirely to her. Those who were allowed inside described it as stunning. Every wall was covered with photographs of Diana, her Supremes era, her solo performances, her most glamorous moments. And at the center of it all, candles, thousands of them, burning around her image day and night. It wasn't simple admiration. It was devotion taken to a level most people never reach. The origin of those candles, according to stories Michael later shared, traced back to an Obeah man who once told him that lighting candles around the image of someone you loved would keep them close forever. Michael never forgot those words. When it came to Diana, he took them to heart completely. That haunting ritual eventually found its way into his art. In one performance, the entire audience held candles in unison, a public echo of something he had once done in private. When Diana married someone else, Michael tried to accept it. He dated other women, including Tatum O'Neal and Brooke Shields. He moved forward, at least on the surface. But Diana's shadow never truly lifted. Songs like Remember the Time were later described by his brother Jermaine as being inspired by her, a way of preserving a love that had slipped away, frozen forever in melody. Even at the absolute peak of his fame, his loyalty to her never wavered. In 2002, when Michael signed his will, the world noticed one striking detail. If anything ever happened to his mother Catherine, he named Diana Ross as a person he wanted to raise his children. Out of everyone in his vast circle, he chose her. It was more than trust. It was a way of keeping her tied to his family forever. The life he had once dreamed of building with her, preserved in legal ink. For decades, Diana stayed mostly silent. She rarely addressed the depth of their connection publicly, perhaps fully aware of how much attention and controversy it could ignite. But silence was never the same as indifference. In 2019, following the release of the documentary, Leaving Neverland, Diana finally broke her quiet. On social media, she shared a heartfelt message defending Michael, describing him as a powerful and inspiring force, not just in her life, but in the lives of many. She ended with a line that cut through everything, "Stop in the name of love." It wasn't simply a nod to her classic hit. It was a plea, a personal message to the world to stop attacking someone she had known since he was a child. Her words stood apart from other celebrity reactions at the time. They didn't feel political or calculated. They felt grounded in history, in trust, in decades of shared experience. Because Diana had witnessed every stage of Michael's life. She saw the shy boy stepping into Motown studios for the first time. She watched him grow into a teenage star, discovering his voice. She was there when Thriller changed the world. And she saw the weight that came with all of it. The pressure, the rumors, the lawsuits, the relentless media scrutiny. Yet she never judged him. When others called him strange, Diana called him beautiful. In a quiet reflection shared years later, she said, "He wasn't broken. He was beautiful, just burdened." By 2025, at 81 years old, Diana allowed some of that long-held silence to soften. She appeared at the Met Gala in a breathtaking gown with an 18-foot train, embroidered with the names of her children and grandchildren, each name stitched like a love letter to the family she had built and the life she had endured. Her youngest son, Evan, had encouraged her to attend, reminding her that the world still needed her presence. When she stepped onto that red carpet, it felt like more than a fashion moment. It felt like a statement of survival. And in later, quieter interviews, she finally spoke about Michael, not as a headline, but as a person. "He was Michael," she said, "and he was mine in a way I never needed to explain." Then came the words that cracked decades of restraint. "I was crazy about Michael. I loved him a lot. He was my inspiration. A very gentle and wonderful human being, one of the special ones in this universe. And I don't even know if he knew how special he was. His aura was only about love. Their bond started in 1969, when the Jackson 5 signed with Motown. Michael was barely 11 years old, but his voice and stage presence were already unforgettable. Motown's founder Berry Gordy recognized the spark immediately. For publicity purposes, the label promoted the story that Diana Ross had discovered the Jackson 5, though in reality, it was Gladys Knight and Susanna Passé who first recognized a family's talent. Even Michael's age was adjusted for the spotlight. He was introduced as 9 when he was already 11. But despite the manufactured backstory, the connection between Michael and Diana was completely real. In 1969, he actually moved into her home, living there for nearly a year while his family transitioned from Gary, Indiana, to Encino, California. During that time, Michael called her Mama. Sometimes, with a playful grin, he called her his girlfriend. His mother, Catherine, later wrote about just how deeply Michael adored Diana. He even teased his younger sisters, La Toya and Janet, saying they weren't pretty until they started looking like her. It wasn't just a joke. It revealed how completely Diana had captured his imagination. For Michael, she became far more than a celebrity figure. She was his mentor, his emotional anchor, his guide to the overwhelming pressures of early fame. She gave him advice, offered support, and helped him navigate a world that could be brutal for a child in the spotlight. As their time together deepened, especially through their shared work, what began as admiration grew into something harder to name. In 1978, the film The Wiz brought them together on screen. Diana played Dorothy. A 19-year-old Michael played the Scarecrow. Innocent, curious, full of heart. Their on-screen chemistry was undeniable, but off-screen, something even deeper was forming. Diana had personally pushed for Michael to be cast in the film, believing in him before many others fully saw his potential. She insisted he was perfect for the role, even when doubts existed. For Michael, it wasn't just another acting opportunity. It was a chance to be near the woman he already considered his guide, his protector, and his muse. Their duet Ease on Down the Road became one of the film's most memorable moments. The energy, the laughter, the easy chemistry between them felt genuine, because, in many ways, it was. During filming in New York, rumors began to circulate. Diana visited Michael's apartment one evening and reportedly stayed the night. Her assistant spent hours trying to locate them for an early shoot, only to find them still together at Michael's place the following morning. Later, Diana was overheard joking with friends. "Well, I'll tell you one thing, Michael definitely isn't gay." When her assistant eventually asked Michael directly what had happened between them, he offered only a shy smile and a quiet reply. "You'd have to ask her." Diana, when asked the same question, gave the same answer. "You have to ask Michael." That playful, mirrored response only deepened the mystery surrounding them. What was clear, regardless of what happened privately, was that Michael adored her completely. He kept her photographs with him wherever he went. He created an entire room in her honor in his home, referring to her as "my goddess Diana." He never tried to hide it. He openly admitted he had fallen in love with her. And years later, he said it plainly, "Diana was my first love." In mid-1980s, Michael believed his dream was finally within reach. According to those close to him, Diana had promised to marry him. She even accepted his ring. At the Motown 25th anniversary special, and later at the 1984 American Music Awards, she was seen wearing it. To Michael, it felt like everything he had hoped for was finally real. At the award ceremony, Diana kissed Michael on the lips in front of the cameras, holding his face deliberately, as if making a statement or testing how the world would respond. Around that same time, they reportedly shared news of their relationship with Katherine Jackson. Her reaction was immediate and fierce. She was furious, telling Diana she was too old for her son and accusing her of taking advantage of him. Katherine even contacted reporters, pulling the story into the public eye. The press turned on Diana without mercy. Harsh labels circulated. The age gap, 14 years, became a source of public ridicule. Under that pressure, Diana stepped back. She ended the engagement and eventually entered a relationship with Norwegian shipping magnate Arne Næss Jr. For Michael, it felt like betrayal. He had devoted years to her, his attention, his emotional energy, his dreams of a future together. And in the end, she chose someone else. Heartbroken, he turned to music. What began as love songs shifted into sorrowful ballads, and finally into something sharper and more wounded. That emotion became Dirty Diana. The song wasn't random storytelling. It was deeply personal. The line, "She likes the boys in the band," was a direct reference to Diana's rumored connections over the years with musicians, including Lionel Richie, Barry Gibb, and Gene Simmons. All while Michael still believed they were meant to be together. He felt she had strung him along, valuing fame and influence above the man who genuinely loved her. Every lyric carried the weight of that specific hurt. Even after Michael's passing in 2009, Diana Ross continued to carry their shared history with quiet dignity. Her influence on music and culture has never faded. Artists from Beyoncé to Madonna have cited her as foundational. Her recordings have been sampled hundreds of times by Janet Jackson, Monica, Will Smith, Master P, Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, and Lady Gaga, among many others. As a member of the Supremes, she helped create some of the most enduring music in history. Songs like "Stop," "In the Name of Love," and "You Can't Hurry Love" are listed among the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. The Supremes were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988. Diana achieved 18 #1 singles across her career, 12 with the Supremes and 6 as a solo artist, making her the only female artist to top the charts as a solo performer, in a duo, as part of a group, and as part of an ensemble collaboration. Her story has been dramatized on stage and screen repeatedly, her character inspiring the lead role in Dreamgirls, and her life portrayed by actresses across Broadway productions and television films for decades. But beyond the accolades and the cultural legacy, what Diana Ross ultimately represents is endurance. She outlasted the scrutiny, the heartbreak, the pressure, the silence. And when she finally spoke about Michael, really spoke about him, she did so with a tenderness that made clear their connection had never fully dissolved. His aura, she said, was only about love. Perhaps, in the end, the same could be said of what they meant to each other.